Good morning, everybody. My name is Corey Rosen, and you are listening to the Story Podcast. Today, I have a super awesome guest, Mr. Debo.
Hey.
Originally from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Delonne Debo Wilbourn has been singing, producing, writing, and composing all his music for over 10 years. Debo and his band will captivate any crowd or venue. The band's diversity in musical selection creates a one-of-a-kind experience with award-winning original music and cover songs in the genres of R&B soul, funk, blues, neo-soul, jazz, alternative, reggae, rock, pop, metal, and even country. Debo has been featured on American Idol and The Voice and has won many awards and accolades, including a Hard Rock Rising Battle of the Bands finalist, Touchtunes Breakout Band winner, Akadamia Award winner for Best Album, 2021 Central Pennsylvania Music Award winner for Song of the Year, and 2023 CPMA winner for Best R&B Artist and Best Dressed. Debo has also earned over 12 featured artist spotlights on ReverbNation crowd picks and is ranked number 1 in the world on ReverbNation's R&B artist charts. You can even hear his music featured in the AMC film in American and Hollywood, with past performances at the Hard Rock Café, Baltimore, Lincoln Financial Field, Hollywood Casino, Penn National, Hollywood Casino, York, Live Casino, Club XL, and venues from Nashville to Cape May. The grand stage is nothing new for Debo. Debo is also a frequent festival headliner at Capona, Gettysburg Wine Festival, In the Streets Festival, Temple University Homecoming, and the Blues and Brews Festival. His 4 award-winning albums are available on Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, Google Play, eMusic, Deezer, Tidal, and all other digital platforms. You can find Debo right here today as well.
Yes, sir.
What's up,
Yes, sir.
Debo? How you doing?
Man, I couldn't be better, man. It's just an honor and a blessing to be here on the show, man. I've heard some of the things that you do, and it's just awesome to be here.
Thanks, man. I'm glad to have you. So let's get started. Let's dive right into it. So, when did the music bug bite you? Did it come as a kid? You've only been doing it for 10 years. You're much older than 10 years.
Well, I tell you, the music bug bit me when I was about 4 or 5 years old. I used to compose music on this little Casio keyboard where I could do loops and all kinds of things. And that's kind of where I knew I had a talent, and I started developing my voice. But I had this crazy fear to perform vocally in front of anybody. I couldn't do it. I couldn't even sing in front of my mom. It took me 22 years of my life to break that fear. And then after that, I was able to perform and not have any issues. I read Matthew 25 verses 14 through 30, the parable of the talents, and that broke my fear. So that's how it happened.
So the Bible will break a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's what happened. Yep.
So, 24 years of you noodling around on piano, making music, but not singing.
Not singing. I mean, I would sing in the car, but when I released my first album, my mom was so shocked. She didn't even know I had it in me. She was like, "Wow, I can't believe this is you." And then, at that point, I started, performing live with my brother in a band that he established, and then it kind of went on and fused on and got my own band at that point, and then we just took off. Within 4 months, we were in like Hard Rock, Baltimore, and winning contests and in Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. So everything kind of skyrocketed with me pretty quick.
And what was that? How old were you at that point?
I would say this was probably, well, my birthday's this weekend. I turned 40 this weekend. So this was probably about 12 years ago, 12 to 15 years ago. And once things took off, I got involved in ReverbNation, which any artists out there that are looking for a platform, ReverbNation has been the best thing for my musical career personally. I learned how to use it. And I ranked as high as number 1 in the world in R&B and like in the top 100 in all genres. And there's millions of people on ReverbNation. So that really put me in certain gigs that I wouldn't have otherwise gotten on my own. And that just kind of helped me take off.
So that's at like 30 or something for you. Or
Yeah,
like
yeah. I was
29s?
probably like mid 20s. I mean, like late 20s.
Is that kind of like it's kind of a little bit late, don't you think?
It is late. I mean, like I said, I was 22 when I broke my fear of singing, and I started I recorded my first album immediately after that.
Okay.
But I didn't start performing live until about 2012.
And why was that? Was that just a stage fright thing?
Well, no. It just I had to find a band. My brother established a band, and so I didn't really know any musicians. I came home from college and I didn't know any musicians here. So I started doing a lot of open mics and things like that, meeting people. I did a lot of karaoke. But once my brother started that band, the Hunger Before Greed band, months later after that thing was over, we kind of, some of the guys reached out to me about working on a project. And so we did a song called Your Problem, which is actually on my third album, Divergent. And it went so well that they were like, hey, man, this is fun. I said, if you guys want to do this, we can do it. I have all the contacts. I can get us booked. And like I said, 4 months later, we were in Hard Rock, Baltimore, rocking the place.
How do you get those? So, well, before we get to that, what'd you go to college for?
Electrical engineering. And I had a full football scholarship to go to Temple University in Philadelphia. I majored in electrical engineering, minored in Black studies, and I graduated in 2006.
Sorry, hold on. What is Black studies in I can
It's
imagine
Black history, Black history.
Okay.
Yeah. So like not just African American history, but like African history as well, like the world history.
Gotcha.
So it's something I was interested in, and I had, like when I was at school in the summertime on full scholarship, you had to take classes. They didn't always offer the engineering classes that I needed in the summer, so I took stuff I was interested in. And I just ended up having to I took enough to call it a minor, so that was kind of cool.
That's cool. I'm curious, what's one of the most interesting things you learned about Black history within that class?
Just some of the stuff about ancient Egypt. It was, called Kemet at the time, land of the Black. And it's just some of the stuff I learned about the ancient cultures, like, and Ethiopia and stuff like that. It just blew my mind, where a lot of the math and the science that we have today are derived from and even science, like medical stuff. Mm-hmm. A lot of those procedures, like brain surgery and stuff like that, they came from those cultures, and they don't really get a lot of credit. The calendar we use, they call it the Roman calendar, but the ancient Egypts taught the Romans. So, and that was kind of cool. I learned a lot of cool stuff, doing that, besides the engineering stuff that I was doing.
One of my most favorite fun facts about Egypt, this is kind of a side trail, but from the time to Cleopatra to now is shorter than the time of Cleopatra to the building of the pyramids.
Well, here's another thing. This has nothing to do with black history, but did you know that the time between T-Rex and Triceratops or something like that is further than the time from T-Rex to us?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so, I did know that as well.
So yeah, that's one of those things. You just reminded me of that.
Well, here's one last fun fact.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Oxford University is older than the Aztec Empire.
Wow. That's all. That's not much crazy. Time.
You think it's you would think that they because the way they teach history, it's not the way. I have so many opinions on this. The way they teach history is okay. They isolate one area and they focus on a time period, but they don't collaborate with other people. Like we bought the Louisiana Purchase was bought from Napoleon. I didn't clock that until I realized, they were around at the same. That makes total sense.
It does make sense.
But so I wish history was taught more of a like Abraham Lincoln could have faxed a samurai.
Wow.
Right?
That's to think that they existed
at the same time. That's crazy. Time, exactly. Anyway, back to you.
No problem, man. That's what this is about,
Yeah. So you went for electrical engineering.
Yep.
Is that something you still do, or is it more music?
Yes. I'm an electrical engineer for the Navy. Prior to that, I worked for the Pentagon. So I have a lot of interesting stuff that I can't talk about, but it's I excelled in math and science growing up in high school, and so that the natural transition for me education wise was to be either an engineer or an architect. And so when I got to Temple on full scholarship, the academic advisor said, listen, you ain't going to have enough time to be an architect. So I said, all right, well, I'll be an electrical engineer, which was probably just as time consuming as being an architect. But, I went there for an education to use my brain and get a degree. Football was just my avenue of doing that. So I came out of college debt free, which I can't really say about a lot of my friends, but it was a blessing,
Yeah,
man.
that's a
Just
blessing.
not have to pay. The only thing I had to do was give my books back, and I had to buy the ones that I wanted to keep, which
That's not that bad.
$250 to go for 5 years and you at Temple University. Hey, I'll take it.
No, absolutely. So you went into the Navy. How long did you do that for?
Well, I work as a civilian for the
So
federal
you're like a
government. Yeah.
contractor.
No, I'm federal, but
Oh.
I just they hired me as a civilian, which means I don't have any military experience, but
Okay.
there are a lot civilians make up a vast part of the workforce, in all sectors of the military, and the government as a whole. So, it's kind of crazy. Like I'll walk down the hall and I'll see, someone in uniform and I'll say, thank you for your service. And they'll look at me and like, thank you for your service. I'm like, whoa, like I never really thought about it like that, but we are serving the country.
So say without the civilians, there's no military.
Yeah, you're right. We do a lot. We do
or
a lot.
government for that matter.
Yeah. So, I mean, it starts somewhere.
Starts with the taxpayer.
Yeah, right in your pockets.
Right, absolutely. So how did you balance that and music at the same time? Because like you said, and I know electrical engineering takes a lot of time. And how do you balance that with your music creation? Because you do every aspect of your music creation from beginning. That takes a whole lot of time and money.
That's correct. I really didn't do much music in college. Like
I see.
when I was in school, my teammates would come over and we would just like kind of make beats and freestyle over them or, sing. And I didn't really do a lot of recording until probably my senior year. Because at that time I was coming home a little bit more, because wasn't taking as many classes. So I would come home and I had a car. So I was coming home, recording with a couple buddies of mine. We had a little group called the Hannah Collab, which I was actually, I started off as a rapper. And I would just sing a lot of the hooks and stuff. But at some point, I realized that how dynamic my vocals were. It's what I needed to focus on. So I just kind of went away with the rap and just, started singing exclusively. And then my first album was called Superhero. I released that in 2007, I believe, 2007. A couple of years later, I did my Second Coming album, which a lot of people will say that's my best album. My biggest hit, called Do It, is on that album. And my favorite Debo song, Moon and Back. I got a shirt on right now that says To the Moon and Back. That was also on that album. I think that was released in 2014. And then in 2018, I believe, I did Divergent. And then on 2021, I released my new, I can still call it new, but it's the album, the award-winning album, the CPMA award-winning album, Supervillain.
You see, what's that quote? You either die a superhero or live long enough
to be a villain. Yeah. That's, but the reason why I did that, well, my first album was Superhero. And, I was working with some people that, I still composed all my music, but I wasn't recording it and I was participating in the production. It was like, I was like a executive producer or a co-producer on my stuff. And I wasn't quite getting the sound that I always wanted and I always envisioned in my head. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. So Divergent, I started pretty much really doing everything exclusively myself. Bringing artists, bringing musicians to me or going to them to record them, doing the mixing. I sent my music away to get mastered. That's one thing that I don't do is master. That's pretty much I
was going to say, if you're mixing it, you probably shouldn't be the one mastering it either.
You shouldn't. So then, and then my Supervillain album is all me. It's all me. Everything. The only song that I didn't record was Welcome to the Country, which I did that at Rock Mill Studios with the Garrett Schultz Band and a guy named Logan Summey from Rock Mill. But the song came out of my head. I taught the Garrett Schultz Band what I was thinking. And Garrett and the guys, they duplicated it and took my thoughts to another level. And then we recorded it there live. And then Logan put the mix on it and everything. And I kind of helped a little bit. But and that was nominated for Song of the Year at last year's CPMAs. So my Supervillain album is the only album. Well, so 2 years ago, I won Song of the Year for a song called I Can't Breathe. I wrote it the day after George Floyd was murdered. The next year, I was nominated for the same album for Song of the Year. I did not win. And then this year, I was nominated for Album of the Year for that album that had those two songs on it. So I don't think anything like that. I don't think anyone's had an Album of the Year with like two Song of the Year nominees on it and one winner. But it was just all these ideas, just stay awake at night, man, because I have all these ideas that just need to come out. Sometimes I do it with music, sometimes I do it with art, like drawing and painting and stuff like that. Sometimes I write, but it's a lot of creativity, like mixing up in that brain, man. I just got to get it out.
So let's talk about we have one of your songs, "Do It," you were talking about.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about it, the songwriting process for that.
Okay, so I was I'm a big fan of music from all eras and all genres. And that song was inspired by an artist named Roger Troutman, who was in a band called Zap back in the like 70s and 80s. And so I heard a song and I was like, you know what? I would really like to like not just make my own version of that, but like, do something completely different, but clearly inspired by that. So I came up with this catchy chorus, do it, Debo, do it. And then I was just like, you know what? This is really going to catch on. So I had a female vocalist that I was working with at the time in that band that my brother established. Her name was Lydia Zavala. And I said, hey, would you mind, coming and help sing the chorus on this song? She said, yeah, I'll do it. So she came in and all the musical parts in my head, I taught the guys in the band. They laid down the tracks. And then I was like, yo, this song is so great. I'm going to enter this into a Hard Rock Rising Global Battle of the Bands contest. So every Hard Rock Cafe in the world had one of these contests, right? And the closest one to us, so I either had Philly or Baltimore. I decided to enter into the Baltimore one. And so we became like the voting wise, like the fan vote, we were finalists. So I ended up having to compete in person over 2 nights. The first night we won hands down, like our group, our competition, and the second night it was like a tie. So I was just like, so the winner of this whole global battle of the bands thing goes to like Spain. So I didn't really think that they would pick us to do that because there was, hundreds of Hard Rock Cafes all over the world competing in this thing. But that competition, being a finalist in that competition put us in Hard Rock Cafes. We got to perform in Hard Rock Cafes. So that was just kind of like the rocket, the ignition to this whole thing, man.
That's awesome. So let's take a listen to "Do It."
Let's do it. Hashtag do it, baby.
Said I ain't no average man. When we get in, girl, you already know that I'm better than every other man that you had before me. Maybe won't you come this way? Tonight we're gonna play a little game. Meet me in the bedroom, babe. I'll be there, you're right when you say my name. Do it, Debo, do it. Do it, Debo, do it. Do it, Debo. Lie with me and you'll be screaming. Do it, Debo, do it. Do it, Debo, do it. Do it, Debo. Lie with me and you'll be screaming. Wanna take you on a ride. So glad that you made it mine. Girl, I hope you gotta make it last all night. Baby, can you feel it deep? Let me turn up the heat. I know you wanna ride the beat. Look me dead in the eyes when you say to me, do it, Debo, do it. Do it, Debo, do it. Do it, Debo. Lie with me and you'll be screaming. Do it, Debo, do it. Do it, Debo, do it. Do it, Debo. Lie with me and you'll be screaming. You know what I'm love to you, baby. You know what you want to see. You know what I'm love to you,
And that was "Do It" by Debo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, it's that song was so popular that people, I would be walking down 2nd Street in Harrisburg, you know, and people they wouldn't even say hi, D, or hi, Debo. They just start singing that. Do it, Debo, do. I'm like, that's how people address me, is that song. It's like, you know, as an artist, you always want to have that one song that makes money for you for the rest of your life. And for me, this is that song.
Very nice.
So that song also won a Touchtunes Breakout band contest. I submitted that song into several contests. There was probably like 500,000 to 1 million submissions. At least 500,000 submissions all over the world. And that song was one of the top 500 they put on Touchtunes. So if you go to like a bar or restaurant with a Touchtunes digital jukebox on the wall, that song was a finalist in that contest as well. So you can play that song. It's called "Do It" featuring Lydia. If you search that, you find a picture of me, and you pay me 0.009 cents per play. So fatten in my pockets every time you play it. Right. Yeah. Being sarcastic if you can't catch that.
Of course. So you've also been on in the running for American Idol and The Voice. How was that for you?
Yeah, well, those competitions, they were actually kind of disappointing. Both times I realized that they were looking for something specific, and it wasn't me. With American Idol, you know, it's a little different than The Voice. Like, you can't be on The Voice unless you sing. You can sing.
Right.
But American Idol, they're looking for clowns. They're looking for sex appeal. They're looking for actually talented vocalists. They're looking for horrible vocalists. So
they're looking for good TV.
Yeah, good TV and ratings. So that particular year, I think it was like 2006. They had come to Philadelphia. It was like the last stop in their, you know, contest journey. And I had camped out like 18 hours in like February, you know, so I could be first. So, you know, they opened the gates. They brought us in the stadium. I got down on the floor. Like, we were literally on the first row. And they took I was within the first 50 people that went. So four of us performed, and the judge was like, "I want to see you and you. The other two can go." So he pointed to me and this girl, and he was like, "I really want to give you guys this gold ticket, but I have 25,000 more people to listen to after you. So I'm holding on to it." I'm like, wow, I just camped out for 18 hours in the cold for nothing. I could have been dead last, and he might have still had it. So when I was walking out, right, walking out of the stadium, I see this woman. She's about 6'3", 350 pounds. She's wearing this big white Ric Flair robe with feathers everywhere and a big white hat with feathers around it and blinking red LEDs everywhere. I said, she's going to get on TV. Wouldn't you know, the very first person they showed to advertise that season was her.
Right.
I was like, man, I could have came here with a clown nose and red boots, you know, and a teardrop in my eye, and I would have had a better chance than actually being a talented vocalist. So that experience was that. The Voice was a lot better. Like, you know, that was kind of cool. I made it through a round or two, and then you know, it's like at that point I realized what they were looking for was like 14-year-old girls, because then everybody I saw running around with a gold ticket was a like 14-year-old girl. And I was like, well, yeah, 30-something, you know, gray-haired Debo. I said, you know, that ain't gonna work if they're looking for a 14-year-old girl. So, you know, one of the girls that they gave a ticket to that time, she was, you know, a contestant on TV and everything. I saw her, but, you know, they were looking for something specific. So I think the downside of being here on the East Coast is you get everything last. Like, if we lived in California, they go to those places first, and then they work their way east.
That makes sense.
And so when they come here, they already have certain things that they're looking for. And so here they just kind of picking up the pieces. They're looking for clowns on American Idol, or they're looking for 14-year-old girls on The Voice.
So, yeah, it's always fun to be a part of something that you think is something else.
Yeah, well, but you know what? American Idol wasn't a good experience, but The Voice was. That was a good experience. American Idol, I haven't done it again since. That was just terrible. I don't recommend that. It was like a bad karaoke session for like 18 hours, man. Bad karaoke. I mean, you take the worst singer at karaoke, and there was 18 hours of that. It was bad.
Yeah, it makes good TV though.
Yeah, it does. You know, they know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing.
Yep.
So you came up with this. Why? I'm curious. You've done this supervillain arc a little bit. Tell me a
So
little bit
I
about
don't
that.
even think I told you about this. So since
Yeah.
my first album was Superhero, and I was kind of explaining like for the next two albums, I was still composing the music, but I wasn't producing it and mixing it. So for this last album, I kind of got back to what I was doing on my first album. You know, even the sound, the composition, like even the content. Because my first album had a lot of positive content. Like I wrote songs about abuse. I wrote songs about, you know, obviously love and heartbreak and things like that, and just like falling down and getting back up. So I was like, you know what, I want to make another album like that. So this new album, you know, I got a song about suicide awareness. You know, I got a song about social injustice. The CPMA winner for Song of the Year, I Can't Breathe. I've got, you know, music obviously about love and heartbreak, which every R&B album is like that, but it's not just an R&B album. It's rock, pop, funk, metal. You know, I got the Suicide Puppets, local metal band on there. I got Garrett Schultz, the country band on there. I got, you know, my brother's featured on the album. Salvador Dali Will, he raps on the album on a remix for my song Focused. And so I kind of got back to a lot of the stuff that I was doing in the first album. And I said quite naturally, this one's going to be super villain because, you know, I'm kind of flipping around and just kind of returning where I was. So I did my super villain arc. You know, I'm really not a super villain. I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
But you know, I figured it would be a good marketable thing too. Like I hooked up with my my buddy. His name is Fernando Lyons. He's a comic book artist. I said, "Yo, man," I kind of drew. I draw too, so I drew a picture of kind of what I wanted. And he just took it to another level, you know, did the coloring and everything, added some like lightning and stuff between my fingers. You know, and that's very symbolic being an electrical engineer.
Right.
My natural superpower should be lightning manipulation, you know, electron manipulation. I'm not just going to pigeonhole myself to lightning. I mean, electron manipulation, that's magnetism, that's lightning, that's all that stuff. So he did the album art. And, you know, for everybody I featured on the album, I decided to do like a custom album cover of them and like as like a supervillain.
That's cool.
So I did this Garrett Schultz band as supervillains. I did the Suicide Puppets, and you guys might know Jenna Clay. She's a local radio personality.
She
you know,
hosted the CPMA.
well, we she was like, you know, I was talking to her. I was like, I showed her the picture. She was like, yeah, I want to be a supervillain. So I took a mental note. She didn't know what I was going to do. She didn't know. She didn't expect anything. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to make her a supervillain, a custom album cover. So Fernando and I, we put our heads together and did that. And then one day I met her at Starbucks and I was like, you know, I got something for you. And she, you know, I wrapped it up. She unwrapped it and it was like this, you know, 16 by 16 supervillain custom album cover with me and her on it. And she was just ecstatic. You know, I said, put that in your office, you know, let everybody see that.
So we have one of your songs from that, the Song of the Year, I Can't Breathe.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the creation process for that, because that must have been a really personal song for you.
Very personal. You know, at the age of 16, my first experience with police was not a pleasant one. I ended up being followed by an unmarked police car out of their jurisdiction, illegally searched. My friends and I were illegally searched. They ripped my vehicle apart illegally. They held us at gunpoint. 7 cops held guns on us. They had two dogs like ready to pounce on us, surrounded us. And then I was told, you can go, you know, and you know, I would be George Floyd if my father hadn't taught me at the age of 14 how to survive situations like that. He told me, he said, you know, you're going to have these types of situations. Unfortunately, he said, I did, you did, and unfortunately, your sons probably will too. He said, but the way to survive it, he said, I don't care what they ask you to do, how humiliating it is. how wrong it is when you know it's wrong. He said, just comply. He said, one night of misery might guarantee, years and years of life after that. He said, I want you to come home. So, after that night, that shaped the way I feel about social injustice at a young age for the rest of my life. And so when George Floyd was tragically murdered, and that's what it was, in front of all of us in this day and age, everything is video, on video. And my kids, I mean, I would have never thought of seeing a dead body at the age of my kids, but they've seen it because of social media and things like that, which is sad. But when that happened, the night after that, I felt compelled to write a song because I figured my best contribution to society would be through music. So I wrote a song fairly quickly. I figured I would do a reggae song because reggae is conscious music, and I wanted to stick along with that theme. And I never realized, I never imagined how many lives that song would. I mean, that song took off as well. I mean, I got hits all over the world, messages, fan mail from people all over the world saying that this song is special. And I mean, it actually played on the radio in Jamaica. My reggae song, like I'm no special reggae artist, but it had that authentic sound to it, and it was authentic enough, and the message was great enough to actually play in Jamaica. So that was kind of cool, man.
Let's take a listen to it.
Let's
This
do it.
is "I Can't Breathe" by Debo.
Yeah. Ooh. Listen. You can take away my rights, bind my arms, bind my legs, or maybe even take my life, yeah. But you can't take away my pride. Black skin, born of kings and queens, and the creator of the light, yeah. Feel this world ain't made for me. They pay me less and I work more with no investment, as you see. I shouldn't have to live in fear. I take a jog to drive my car. It's hateful voices that I hear. I can't breathe because that man done held me down. I can't breathe. I'm losing my life here on this ground, Feel my space is closing in, yeah. Guess what? And then tomorrow it starts again. I can't breathe. They say I've had much time to heal. Turn on the news and nothing's changed. And then they wonder why we kneel, yeah. Then they call it disrespect. I've heard the cause away from truth and then collect another check, yeah. Been a victim of this too, yeah. 16 years old, my father said, it happened to me, it will happen to you. You would think that they would learn. They go to court, get acquitted, return to work, and still we burn. Yeah, because that man done held me down. No, I'm losing life here on this ground. I can't breathe. Feel my space is closing in. Yeah. And then tomorrow it starts again. Listen to this part right here. Like life don't matter more than you know. You miss the point of what we say. We say black and lives, they matter too. Yeah. We all must work to make it right. Because the Lord is coming back and he don't see no black or white. Yeah. realize that man done held me down. I can't breathe. I'm losing my life here on this ground, but ain't nobody listening. No, feel my space is closing in. I can't breathe. And then tomorrow it starts again. I can't breathe. George Floyd, Breakout Taylor, Trayvon Martin, so many others. I can't breathe. Killed to senseless acts of violence, y'all. We need to change this world, and it starts with the person in the mirror. Fellas, I can't breathe.
That was Debo, I Can't Breathe. Tell me a little bit about that version.
Okay, so that version was live at the Gettysburg Wine and Music Festival. I haven't even heard this. I was just explaining kind of when the song was playing that I recorded that directly from my mixer and saved it to my laptop. And so when I did a search for this song on my laptop, that was the first one that showed up. And I thought it was the album version. So I sent it to Corey and he was like, I was like, you know what? When he just played it earlier, I was like, no, that's a different version. I wonder what this is going to be like. But that was amazing. I mean, I thought that mix sounded excellent. Anthony, that was my band, y'all. If you don't know, if you never heard my band, that was Anthony Pieracini on the guitar, Devon Cruz on keys, Solera Man III on the drums, and I think John Christopher was on the bass on that one. And so that's what it sounds like live. That's not the album version. That's a live version. So that was very special.
That's a great lineup too. We love Anthony Pieracini. He's a
Yeah,
great
Littis boy, Littis guy.
of the show.
Yeah,
Great
he's right from around the corner. Right?
Yeah, quite literally, yes.
Yes.
So, I mean, you've also had music shown on films. What was that like for you? As well?
Oh my goodness. So I would say one of the greatest experiences in my life as an artist was going to the red carpet premiere of that movie, An American in Hollywood. It was an original film by a friend of my brother's who became a friend of mine. Two of them actually. They're twins, V twins. They wrote and produced this movie, An American in Hollywood, about it's about the arts, you know, a short film maker, movie maker, and his group of friends. He decides to move from New York to California because he thinks that that's going to be a better opportunity for him. What he realized is Cali's not all it's cracked up to be. There's a lot of fluff going on there, and it just really it doesn't go the way he plans. So he goes back to New York, reassembles with his buddies, and they just start doing their own thing. So at the red carpet ceremony, you know, I had never seen the movie before. So I'm sitting in a movie theater, an AMC film theater. And, you know, right in the middle of like the lovemaking scene, my song comes on. A song my brother and I did called What You're Doing to Me. It's on his album, The Hunger Before Greed. And I composed that song and I wrote the chorus and I have a verse on the song. And I was like, wow, like this is every R&B artist's dream to have a song in the middle of the lovemaking scene.
Right.
So, but then I had what I explained to people was an I made it moment. So at the end of the movie, when the credits are going, you know, all the songs that are in the movie show and the artists that did the songs, here comes E. Will and Debo, What You're Doing to Me, you know, in the credits scroll. And I'm like, man, I made it. You know, this is where I want to be. I am where I want to be.
And so where do you go from now?
So my goal in music has never really been to make a lot of money or whatever. My goal has always been, see, I write really positive stuff with good messages that connect with people and their real life experiences. And so my goal has always been to share these messages with people all over the world and give them encouragement to keep going, you know. And I feel like I've done that. You know, I've got fans in all 50 states and 26 countries around the world. I get fan mail from places I've never been, you know, countries I've never been, you know, and several times I've gotten messages from people saying, hey, I was like really, really on the brink of the end of my life, and I heard one of your songs, and it saved my life, and that's why I do it. There's no greater reward than knowing that something you did either positively impacted someone's life or even saved it. That's just like, I mean, that makes it all well worth it, man.
So what is something you have yet to do that you still want to do within the music industry?
I want to tour. I want to go and perform in Europe, overseas. I've never performed overseas. My music does well over there. I have a big fan base in the UK. I have a big fan base in Spain. I have a big fan base in Brazil. That song "Do It" charted in Brazil. I'm like,
Oh,
I don't even
wow.
know how that happened. It's not in Portuguese or nothing like that. So I mean, I don't speak any other language. I speak a little bit of Spanish, but just ReverbNation keeps the demographics of who's listening. And so it always boggles me that when I see like where these people are listening to my stuff, like, wow, how did it get out there? But I always wanted to go. If I went out to the UK, they'd know me out there. It's just a matter of,
Getting it all together.
yeah, spending all the money upright to travel the band over there. I know I would make tenfold of what I spent, but to throw 5 people on a plane with equipment and then have the places. I mean, it's a dream of mine that I feel like I'm gonna do one day. But I just got to start talking to people. I know some people now out there, so maybe that's coming. We'll see.
You got any music coming out?
I'm already working on a new album, man. Like,
Already?
yeah, the Supervillain just won all these albums. I already got like 4 new songs. So I guess I got to do, like, all my albums usually have like 13 songs on them, like 11 to 13, which is a lot more than most people. But so I'm not halfway there yet. But I've got some good stuff, man.
Yeah?
Some good stuff that I can't wait for people to hear.
You want to give a little bit of a teaser to it?
I don't know, man. I've put some stuff out there, like just kind of some studio sessions. I was working on a song called what song was that? Oh, 4 Questions. So I was working on a song called 4 Questions, and I just put a little snippet of the studio session on there. It has a real Motown sound to it. It's a duet. I still got to find a female vocalist to go on the song. So all you female vocalists out there, if you want to be on a song with Debo, let me know. I'll listen to what you got and I'll make a pick. But I haven't really selected who I want to be on the song yet. Which is something I'm very patient with when it comes to selecting people, like the Garrett Schultz band. I met them at the CPMAs, and I was like, this is the group that I want on this song, because I had this country song in my head. So I've got that. I've got a couple other songs that you guys are just gonna have to wait and see. I'm tossing around a few album names already.
Yeah.
I already know what I'm gonna wear to the CPMAs next year, so I got to start working on that. I make a lot of my costumes and stuff that I wear.
You still have your Supervillain
I do,
costume?
man. This year I won Best Dressed, and I don't know if it was based off of what I was wearing this year or
last year.
just how I dress in general.
Oh, I see.
Because when it comes to shows and showmanship, don't nobody do it like Debo. That's kind of my motto. Nobody do it. Nobody do it like Debo. That's what I say. So I'm known for dressing real sharp at my shows, sharp as a tack, nice shoes, nice suit. When y'all come out for my birthday bash on the 19th at Hollywood Casino Grantville, wait till you see what I'm wearing there. I got a new cane for that.
May 19th?
May 19th.
And Hollywood Casino.
Hollywood Casino Grantville. I'll be there May 19th. I'm throwing Debo's birthday bash as a concert, free concert. So anybody that wants to come celebrate with me on my 40th birthday, my 40th birthday is actually on Mother's Day. And whenever my birthday falls on Mother's Day, I pretty much forfeit my day for my mom. So it's like, I no longer matter to anybody on that day. But I think maybe, I don't know, people might acknowledge me a little bit this year. I don't know, because it's a milestone.
Right. So when does that start?
So, okay. So
I'm interested in going. That's why.
we perform from 8 to 12. There's 3 60-minute sets and 2 30-minute breaks. So you come on out 8 o'clock on May 19th, It's a Friday, I believe.
Yeah, that's
To the H Lounge at Hollywood Casino in Grantville, and we're gonna put on a show. Like nobody does a show like us. Like our show is interactive, it's intimate. I like to get down in the crowd, even in my current state after having 5 knee surgeries. I'll cane myself down there and get in the crowd. I teach them my Debo dance. They learn to dance, and then we do line dances, and it's a fun experience. I want people to leave my show feeling like they saw an experience or had an experience unlike anything anybody else is doing. I don't like to do what everybody else is doing. If you haven't noticed by the way I dress at these awards ceremonies.
Yeah, when I saw you, I didn't know who you were until the CPMAs, and I was like, I gotta get that guy on the show.
Yeah, man, I couldn't go 5 feet without somebody wanting to snap a picture, and that's what I like to cause a splash on the red carpet, and every year I do. So it started, at the first CPMAs, I was wearing, my mom was my date. We had this sparkling, had like a black and silver theme, and I was the first guy to wear sequins at this thing. No other guy had sequins that year. The next year, more dudes were wearing sequins because they saw what Debo was wearing and they had to step their game up. So I stepped my game up. The next year, I wore this
That purple,
two-tone purple
Yeah,
sequence
yeah.
thing, right? It was like black and purple.
the one that's on the promo for this show.
Yes, I wore that at the second CPMAs and caused a splash on the red carpet then. So then the third year, I had my date and we were matching purple. I had purple and gold suit. And that was even a step up. So,
And how did you go about designing that supervillain?
okay,
outfit?
so this year, since my album was nominated for Album of the Year, I said, you know what, I'm going to full supervillain mode, And so on my first album, I created this costume on the superhero album. And so, when Fernando and I created the cover for the supervillain album, it's the same costume that I was wearing on the superhero album. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm going to create this thing to the best of my ability, maybe add a few modifications, Anybody that saw me, I had lights everywhere. I had LEDs glowing. I had on these gloves that had lasers on them. So when I walked through a dark auditorium, I could shoot lasers all over the place. And, it was awesome. So, it took me about 4 months to do. I did, whenever I would have some time, I'd kind of do some things. I'm a beast with a hot glue gun.
I was about to say, well,
I don't sew, but I use a hot glue gun like none
your
other.
electrical engineering probably came into a lot of play there.
I wired a lot of things into that suit. And I love Halloween. I love making my own costumes, so it was just second nature when it came to making that supervillain suit. I might have to bring that out. I'm not giving any surprises or hints or anything like that, but you're gonna see that again.
You kind of have to.
I gotta bring that back.
That's
And like
suit.
when I kind of made my entrance at the pre-party, right? And I threw the doors open. I was like, "Behold!" And everybody turned around. And like somebody doesn't yell "Behold" in public, very often.
Right.
So they saw when I came in, and everybody just was like in awe, And I was mentally, I was in supervillain mode. I was like, greetings, peasants, speaking down to everybody.
Right.
And they just ate it up and they loved it, And so like when I got to the CPMAs from the pre-show or the pre-party, I was still in that supervillain mode. And everybody was a peasant, everybody was beneath me, everybody was disgusting and vile creatures, So, and they loved it. They understood the sarcasm.
Yeah,
I don't really.
It was a joke. Yeah.
I don't really walk around thinking like that. I don't think I'm above anybody, And, I don't think that at all. But it went along with the theme of the character. Yes, yeah. And Debo, to an extent, is a character. Something else comes out of me when I'm on stage that's not typically there. Every day, Delonne. I don't want to be bothered by too many people. I'm very much a loner. I'm kind of shy, which is why it took me 22 years to sing in front of my mom. But Debo, when I'm on stage, man, something else comes out of me that's not normally there. And it just and it takes me a while to come off of that. Like after I'm done performing, it might take a few hours to come back down to earth. But I transcend my normal self when I'm out there.
Well, hey, we got a few more minutes left, so I got the questions I like to ask all my guests.
Yes.
And you're a Christian,
Mhm.
and so I like to ask all my brothers and sisters in faith this question: what is worship to you, or where do you find yourself most in tune with God?
Well, that's a deep question. I think it's important for everyone to have a relationship, a personal relationship with God. And you can't go by what anybody says. You got to go by what's inside of your spirit, you know. So that's something that I've always had. I've always seeked God, seek the information, seek, you know, and the important thing is you got to read. You got to read. You can't just take what somebody tells you.
Read your Bible.
Yes. You can't just take what somebody tells you, or a preacher, or another person. You got to read. And another thing is, when someone asks you a Bible question or a spiritual question, or when you hear a spiritual question being asked, if the person answering says, I think that's the wrong answer. You need to say, well, what does the Bible say? Let's go to the Bible and look and see what that says.
Mhm.
I think that is going to lead to a wrong answer, because then that's personal. You're giving personal.
You're putting yourself into the Bible instead of
Yes,
having the
yes.
Bible speak to you.
Go to the Word of God and see what it says, and then there's no room for interpretation. And even though I think some people overinterpret the Bible, and it's meant to be read like a child.
Yeah.
So I hope that addressed it. What else you got?
But the question: where do you find yourself most in tune with God?
Okay, so explain that a little bit.
So where do you find, like, for some people it's in nature when they just feel God, the presence of God, or when they're singing their songs, it just feels like, oh, I'm in tune with God.
You know, when I'm singing in church, that's what does it for me. And my father passed away in 2021, which his birthday is the day I released the Supervillain album. I moved my album back several months to release it on his birthday to pay honor to him. And he was a great singer. And anytime we would sing in the church, he and I were song leaders in the church. We kind of like alternated weeks, but just hearing the songs that we would sing, hearing his voice, and getting the opportunity to sing and hearing the congregation sing back. That's when I feel closest to God. And that's when I feel in tune, because it don't matter how good of a singer you are or not. If you're singing from your heart and from your spirit, that's pleasing to God.
I was about to say, one of the Wesleyan brothers, I think it's John Wesley. If you're not singing with all your whole heart, your whole mind, body, soul, and spirit, you shouldn't sing.
There you go. And you don't have to be good.
No, you don't have to be
You
good.
don't
It
have to
doesn't
be
matter.
good. You can be tone deaf, but
It's all joy. It's all music to God's ears.
Yeah, yes. God deserves the glorification, and one of the ways we do that is through song. And if you're doing it with all your heart and you're participating in that worship service, then hey,
It don't matter, and it don't matter what no one else thinks about it.
there you go. There you go.
So one of the last questions I got for you is what is one of the worst or funniest things that ever happened to you on stage?
Oh man, there's been a few things, from like power going out and stuff like that. I will say, one year at the Gettysburg Wine Festival, some drunk ladies that had several glasses of wine that day made their way to the stage, and they they're dancing, but just no balance involved whatsoever, no grace. And they started like knocking stuff over, and my guitarist at the time, Nick Carruthers, they knocked his headphones off and they fell on the ground, and but you got to keep going. The show must go on. So like, he just kept a smile and kept going. He couldn't hear nothing, but that was probably the worst. It wasn't that bad. American Idol was a bad experience, but
Right.
but this, as far as performing live, that was probably one of the most memorable situations.
Well, I want to know what you do when the power goes out.
You know what? You kind of wait till it goes back on, but I think when that happens, we kind of joke around, like, no music, no music. We just keep the crowd, going, so they don't get too agitated, and just hope that that the sound crew can get everything back.
I was gonna say, the worst thing you could ever do when something wrong goes out is have silence.
Yeah, you don't want silence. So we find a way. If I have to sing a cappella, I'll sing a cappella. And I perform the same way for 60,000 people that I do for 60 people. It's no different. You get the same energy, no matter how big or small the crowd is. So if the power goes out, the show's gonna go on.
Well, with all that said, Debo, where can people find you at?
Oh my goodness. You can go on Facebook, search Music by DBO, all one word, no spaces, or use the @ symbol at Music by DBO. You can go on, very easy for me. Instagram at Music by DBO. So Instagram.com/ at Music by DBO. Same thing with Twitter. Twitter's there actually D Music by D_BO. YouTube, Music by DBO.
You got your website too.
My website is d-bomusic.com. Make sure you go there. You can find all my albums. You can download and buy them. There's videos and pictures and all that good stuff. All things Debo. So make sure you like me on Facebook or all these avenues, and you'll be in the know of all things Debo. That's what I like to say.
In the know of all things Debo.
Yes, sir.
And this is the Story Podcast. My name is Corey Rose, and if you want to find out more about me, my music, and everything else that I do here at the Story Podcast, go over to CoreyRosenProductions.com. That's CORYROSEN Productions.com. If you've liked this show, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe.
Do it, baby.
It really does help us out. And we have some exciting things coming up tomorrow. You know the Jess Zimmerman Band, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Jess Zimmerman herself is coming over to the studio, and we're going to have a nice little chat, catch up on what she's been doing. She just went over to Nashville to record her new album, and we're going to hear 2 songs off of that new album.
Awesome.
Right here tomorrow, so tune into that at 10 o'clock. Then Wednesday, we have Matt Friedman. He's a huge country star up from the Reading area. Excited to talk to him about all of his stuff. And then we got Sean Murphy coming in Thursday, Mr. Motivation. He is a guy. I don't know if you're familiar with Sir Dominique Jordan. Are you?
No. First time.
So these group of people, they go around to urban centers and talk to the poverty stricken, to the poorest parts of the city, and go over there and give motivation to them and
Excellent.
help them work through.
I need to get in touch with
struggles.
him because that's up my alley, man.
Yeah, absolutely. He's local, I do believe, maybe Philly, but he's around the area. I'll get you in contact with Sir Dominique. He's definitely Lancaster based, because they do some similar things, and they're spoken word artists as well.
I did something like that called the Extreme Tour. We toured Nashville and went to the projects and put on free concerts and fed the community, and it's nothing like that.
It's nothing like that, and it's really great stories to tell there. Then this Sunday we have Darker with Daniel. Yes. We're having Daniel on this show. Get to talk about all things Darker with Daniel and Central Pennsylvania Music Podcast now that he does.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to talk to them about that. And we got Aaron Pearson, part of Anchor N, which is an acoustic pop metal band.
Interesting. I gotta hear that.
Which is very interesting, because if you think about pop and metal, it ain't acoustic.
No.
So I'm very
do your thing.
Do your thing, yeah. Talking about doing things like no one else, right?
Yes, sir.
And then we got next Monday, we got Lael, who's an incredible singer-songwriter, rapping artist from the Lancaster area. So I'm super excited to talk to them and get their story as well. With all that said, if you want to be involved, here we got several things going on. We got our singer-songwriter studio that I told you about that.
Yes, I'm down, man. I'm down.
And we grabbed 3 or 4 other artists in the area, and we it's a challenge. I won't say force, but that's a challenge. We get them on to write a song within an hour.
On the spot.
And we had our first one this past Monday, and it went really well.
Yeah, I got to hear that too.
I'm so excited for that song. And so we're going to be doing a lot more of those. If you want to be in touch, CoreyRosenProductions.com. We got our single and album reviews that are getting back into swing, where we choose 3 singles or an album from the area. We grab another artist from the area. We sit them down and we just go over what our thoughts are on the album or singles.
Man, you got to have me back, man. You got to have me back. I'm hearing all these things, man. It's just
we'll have you on for one of the single reviews.
Let's do it.
Do it, Debo.
Do it. Hashtag do it, baby.
With all that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you guys later. Bye.
Bye-bye.